You've been going at these guys. You texted Dillian when you were 14 and asked him to go sparring with you. You seem ready. People are saying you're hyping this guy too much. You seem ready for all of them. Are you ready for all of them?
What do you reckon, Gareth?
I think you're ready. I think you're ready. We sat down in January at the beginning of the year and you said by the end of the year he could be world champion.
Absolutely. I totally agree with it. I think you know, just if we can get maybe one in before December and then a big fight in December.
Joseph Parker, Ajit Kabai, who would you think?
They're not going to chuck names around. I don't think we need to. We're in a great position ranking wise, but I think he's ready for the big guys now.
Oleksandr Usyk included in that list?
Absolutely.
So my next opponent or opponents this year, we're just looking at fights to kind of get me into that later round, because I feel like with Usyk, I feel like I've got a better skill set than him, but I feel like towards the later rounds, he'll just outdo me because I've never been in that sort of fight.
I keep getting asked about young Moses Itauma fighting Oleksandr Usyk and fighting other big names. And my opinion is not someone who don't know boxing. My opinion is someone who has been there and won every single belt, won everything there is to win in boxing, and done very well. Boxing is a young man's game. Like I told Vladimir Klitschko when he was 37, boxing's young.
From sparring sessions to making headlines, heavyweight prospect Moses Itauma is already shaking things up. At just 20 years old, the rising star has set his sights on none other than Oleksandr Usyk. Confident, bold, and unapologetic, Itauma isn't waiting for his turn. He's calling out the undisputed champ, proving he's ready to crash the heavyweight elite.
Why would Usyk take that fight? That's obviously my first thought. But, I mean, if the fight was to present itself, and they was like, right, you're fighting Usyk in May. I'm like, yeah, I'm taking it 100%. There's no loss in that. Do you get what I mean? I would take that fight 100%. But I just think, like, why would Usyk do that? Why would he? I mean, the money, he's made plenty of money.
What happens if you and Oleksandr Usyk sharing in December, let's say?
What do you think?
I'm asking you.
No. I know my answer, but what do you think?
I think it's a hell of a fight.
No, you gone commercial, you gone generic.
My name is Itauma. Moses Itauma. I think he's a great fighter.
He spoke with the confidence of someone who feels like he's already done everything right to reach this point. The patience, the timing, and the way he adjusts inside the ring aren't things you usually hear from a 20-year-old, but he made it sound normal. And when the subject shifted to future opponents, he wasn't looking for easier tests. His mindset was already on the names at the very tops.
I've ticked every box, so if it wasn't my night to win today, it wasn't going to be my night, but I knew that I'd done everything I could to make this night my night.
You were still patient, weren't you?
I mean, that was one of the things where the team wanted me to get a couple rounds out, so I was like, maybe I should slow it down a little bit, but I saw he was hurt and we went for it.
This isn't new for him either. From messaging big names like Dillian Whyte at just 14 to spar with them, to shutting down talk that he's being hyped too soon, he's been showing the same attitude all along. His team doesn't even need to bring up the biggest names. But when Usyk's name surfaced, there was no hesitation. He let it hang there, as if to say he's ready to prove himself against anyone, even the man holding all the belts.
Been going at these guys. You texted Dillian when you were 14 and asked him to go sparring with you. You seem ready. People are saying you're hyping this guy too much. You seem ready for all of them. Are you ready for all of them?
What do you reckon, Gareth?
I think you're ready. I think you're ready. We sat down in January at the beginning of the year and you said by the end of the year he could be world champion.
Absolutely. I totally agree with it. I think you know, just if we can get maybe one in before December and then a big fight in December.
Joseph Parker, Ajit Kabai, who would you think?
They're not going to chuck names around. I don't think we need to. We're in a great position ranking wise, but I think he's ready for the big guys now.
Oleksandr Usyk included in that list?
Absolutely.
Asked directly what level he believes he's on right now, he didn't sugarcoat it. He pointed to his ring IQ, his skill set, and the way he performs between the ropes, saying those things put him at the very top. He admitted the only piece he hasn't shown yet is how he holds up in the deeper rounds, something he wants to get under his belt before the year is out.
You must have a view of what level you're at now.
If you want my honest opinion, I think if my skill set, if you're talking about my ring IQ and what I display in the ring, I feel like I am the best in the world, but I haven't displayed the later rounds. That's all what I kind of want to get ticked off.
That's where he brought it straight back to Usyk. In his view, when it comes to pure skill, he's ahead. The one area he gives Usyk credit for is in the championship rounds, but even then, it wasn't praise. It was more like a target he's aiming to hit. It came across less like respect and more like a call-out, making it clear he believes once he's tested there too, there'll be nothing left to separate him from the very best.
So my next opponent or opponents this year, we're just looking at fights to kind of get me into that later round, because I feel like with Usyk, I feel like I got a better skill set than him, but I feel like towards the later rounds, he'll just outdo me because I've never been in that sort of fight.
Coming off that bold call-out, the conversation quickly shifted to someone who's been in with all the big names, Derek Chisora. When pressed about what comes next, he didn't give a straight answer, but hinted it all depends on where Itauma is steered and how he's matched. Still, the idea of putting him against Usyk was floated, and Chisora didn't dismiss it. He left it hanging, almost like the thought of a young powerhouse going up against the crafty champion wasn't so far-fetched after all.
When you look at the future for Itauma, what do you think about his next for him?
Next one, don't know. Depends with the paymasters. Where do you want to put him?
Do you think Usyk's potential? Do you think there is a potential for him to fight Usyk?
Usyk could blow the smoke out of him. Usyk could kill him. Yeah.
Interesting.
After Chisora gave his reaction, the spotlight moved to another heavyweight voice that always makes headlines, Tyson Fury. He's been asked time and time again about young Moses being linked with Usyk and other top names, and he didn't shy away from giving a firm opinion. Coming from someone who's been at the very top and held every belt, his words carried extra weight. Fury brought up a point he's made before. Boxing doesn't wait around. In his view, it's a young man's game, the same line he once used when facing Klitschko. And this time, he applied it directly to Moses, saying the age gap between him and the current champions is exactly why the new wave is coming through.
I keep getting asked about young Moses Itauma fighting Oleksandr Usyk and fighting other big names. And my opinion is not someone who don't know boxing. My opinion is someone who has been there and won every single belt, won everything there is to win in boxing, and done very well. Boxing is a young man's game. Like I told Vladimir Klitschko when he was 37, boxing's a young man's game and he waits.
Then he made it even clearer. He grouped Usyk together with AJ, Jile Zhang, Ortiz, and every other older name still holding space in the division, and he called them all a spent force. In Fury's eyes, Moses isn't just ready, he's the one to run through them because youth and energy will always outlast experience when the time comes.
Nobody. So here's the opinion, you've heard it here first. Moses Itauma will wreck all them old men out of the division. Usyk, AJ, Miller, whoever there is who's old, Zhang, whoever else there is, Luis Ortiz, all these big names of the past are all a spent force. And even the world champion now, if they took my belts and give them to Usyk, Moses will wreck him. Because he's a young man versus an old man. An old man can't mess with young men.
After Fury's explosive take, next up was Spencer Brown, and his view carried a different kind of weight. He's seen Moses up close. He knows the people around him and speaks with both admiration and caution. He praised the talent, the charisma, and even echoed Tyson's belief that he's the future of the division, pointing out how Britain's next wave of fighters is shaping up to be special.
Short spell. Yeah, I knew how good he was. I've seen him spar Tyson numerous occasions and other people. He's got it all there, hasn't he? You know, and like Tyson said to me, he's the future of the heavyweight division. Tyson's brothers, they think a lot of him. You know, but we are now looking at a genuine champion who's going to hold this title for a number of years, for a long time.
But when it came to what should happen next, his tone shifted. Instead of rushing to Usyk, he floated other names, Hrgovic being the one he highlighted as a real test. To him, that kind of fight would give Moses the chance to show more rounds, prove his stamina, and step up in a way that isn't as risky as leaping straight to the very top.
But there's another jump up after this, and that's not going to be easy. Your Ajit Caballos, your Joe Parkers, your Jarrell Millers.
Will it be one of those names next for Moses?
Yeah, who knows? Miller could be a name next for him. I don't know, but I think the fight is Hrgovic. I think I'd like to see him fight Hrgovic. I think that's an unbelievable fight. I think you can make that happen. I think Turki Al-Sheikh.
He acknowledged how big the win over Dillian was, but also pointed out that Usyk is a different breed entirely. In his eyes, it's too quick, too soon. He didn't doubt that Moses would take that fight tomorrow if given the chance. But from his perspective, the smarter path is to wait. His point was clear. With the right guidance and patience, Moses could rule for years, but rushing into Usyk now would be a mistake.
Final one, Oleksandr Usyk. Will there be conversations about Itauma Usyk? Now we've seen that.
Maybe, but look, Usyk's a different animal. You know, you're talking about,
the best of our generation alongside Tyson.
You can mention him in that, is that too quick? Oh yes, it's too quick.
But Moses, the thing is, Moses would fight him. He's that character.
We're not saying that, but it's too quick for me. I'm not his manager. I'm not his promotional team. He's got a great team around him, by the way. They're all very close, family, and Frank's boys doing a great job with him.
After Brown's view on what should come next, the conversation shifted again, this time to Adam Catterall and Simon Jordan. When the chat turned toward Usyk, Adam was quick to push back on Tyson Fury's spent force comments. To him, Usyk isn't fading. If anything, he's still improving. He made the case that facing someone like Usyk right now would be too big a leap, not because Moses lacks talent, but because the champion is still too sharp, too experienced, and too clever in solving problems inside the ropes.
Is Usyk a spent force, Adam?
Is he heck? Come on, Oleksandr Usyk has been there, done it, got the t-shirt. He's seen every single style under the sun, every shape, every size, away from home. He is the best thing that I've ever personally watched live. He's rightfully the king. He's not a spent force. And if you look at the way that he dealt with Daniel Dubois last time out, he's actually getting better. So, him aside from everything that Tyson just said there, him aside, Tyson knows his boxing. He's been, listen, he knows more. He's forgotten more about boxing than I would ever know. And when you look at the style of what Moses Itauma's doing, when you look at the finish of what he delivered against Dillian Whyte, this is not a kid that's just like full of testosterone winging away.
Simon was on the same page. He admires Itauma's skill set and believes he's the real deal, but he also made it clear that no one has yet dragged Moses into the kind of deep water a world champion would. For both men, the intrigue lies in what happens when he finally is.
And if the WBO belt gets stripped away from Usyk because he doesn't want to make the fight against Parker, it may be that Frank takes the opportunity against Joseph Parker. The thing for me is, I think he's the real deal, Itauma. I think he's the real deal, but no one's asking him any questions right now. And with due respect to Marius Wack and Dempsey McKean, they didn't because they couldn't. Yeah. There was an expectation that Dillian Whyte might, because Dillian Whyte once upon a time was a legitimate world title challenger, but he didn't. So there's still questions about him. I mean, I don't want to take a single thing away from Moses Itauma because he did the job that was put in front of him and he beats everyone.
And yet, they didn't shut the door completely. Adam admitted Moses already has the tools to beat a large chunk of the top 10 right now. Against Usyk, though, he leaned towards experience still edging youth, at least today. Where things get interesting is in the near future, because as Moses grows, the gap between potential and proven ability will inevitably shrink.
He's very, very clever, meticulous, precise with what he's doing. His footwork's fantastic. His shot selection's superb. He's thinking his way through the finish. He would be, if you were to put him in with a large percentage of those top 10 tomorrow, he would beat them. Usyk, I think, is a step too far.
Would he beat Usyk? Would he beat Fury?
I don't. That's a question, isn't it? Regarding Usyk, I'm not going to disrespect him on your show, man. He's been there, done it, and got the t-shirt, and he's probably seen the likes of the Moses Itaumas years ago in the amateur game. Moses Itauma would definitely ask Oleksandr Usyk a set of questions that he might not have seen for a long period of time. Can Usyk solve them? Listen, there's nothing to say that he couldn't solve them. He solved every other problem that's come his way, hasn't he? So I would probably back Usyk right now in that fight. But listen, in a year's time, 18 months' time, we might be in a different spot.
Frank Warren has also been pressed on the subject, and his response showed the balance he's trying to keep. When Usyk's name was brought up, Frank didn't shut the door on the idea, but he also didn't act like it was something they were rushing towards right now. For him, it was about taking one fight at a time and seeing how Moses looks in the ring first. That kind of answer leaves people wondering what he really thinks behind the scenes, especially with others around Moses openly pushing for it.
For me, on Saturday, it's about how he looks, and then can look at all the options and make a decision. But until then, I don't know. As it is right this moment in time, no.
Frank also pointed out how strongly the people closest to Moses believe in him. That wasn't said lightly. If his team and promoters are already talking about a possible clash with the world champion, it shows just how much faith there is in his ability. Still, he reminded everyone that timing is everything, and rushing the process could be a mistake.
Do you read much into, obviously, Turkey wanting to make that fight?
Say again?
Do you read much into Turkey Al Sheikh wanting to make
Itauma Usyk? He believes in him. He believes in like we do. He believes in him and whatever. But you know, we'll see. There's no rush for me to do anything at the moment with him. What we're trying to do is make the right moves, and I hope we've made the right move on Saturday, which we'll find out.
Even Usyk himself has been asked about Moses, and his response caught people's attention. Instead of brushing off the young heavyweight, Usyk actually took the time to share his thoughts. He didn't sound dismissive or annoyed like some veterans might. Instead, there was a sense of respect in the way he spoke, like he saw something promising in this 20-year-old. Usyk didn't go into too much detail, but the way he phrased it made it clear he sees potential for the future. It wasn't over the top, but it also wasn't dismissive. It was the kind of comment that leaves room for people to wonder what a matchup down the line could look like if Moses keeps rising the way he is.
My name is guy Itauma. Moses Itauma. I think he's a great fighter. The young, 20 years, yeah?
20.
Yeah, 20 years. I think Itauma have big future.
Even though Usyk clearly has a soft spot for Moses Itauma and sees the talent in him, the big question is still hanging in the air. Will this fight really happen? And if it does, what kind of clash would we be looking at? A passing of the torch moment or a lesson from the master? Let us know in the comments what you think.